Let's do this. Eyal Levi here for URM Academy. Nail the mix, and I'm going to unbox Chelsea Smile by Bring Me the Horizon, which was originally produced and mixed by the legends Fredrik Nordstrom and Henrik Udd. And this is on Nail the Mix this month, July 2019. And let me tell you, I am so effing stoked to have Fredrik Nordstrom on. I mean, this is a dude who I have been following since like 2001. And to have one of his recordings from the mid 2000s era, it's just mind blowing because the list of what this guy has done for metal, Dimmu Borgir, In Flames, At the Gates, Opeth, list just goes on and on and on. Just tremendous contribution to modern metal. Let's get into it. I'm going to real quick just show you that there are no plugins on these tracks. And I'm also going to mention that this is from 2008. This is an old recording. And that's why I want to start with these sick guitars. Even by today's standards, these just sound phenomenal. Check it out. I mean, you see that at the top of the session it says Fredman. This guy's guitar tones are so great that he had a technique named after him. And here's the proof. Between him and Henrik Udd coming up with guitar tones, you will not lose. And this is the second time I've experienced it because we had Henrik Udd on Nail the Mix in June of 2017, I believe, with Architects for the song Gone with the Wind. And the guitar tones on that are just devastatingly incredible. I mean, they are so damn good. I know it kind of sounds like I'm giving them a reach around, but they really are that good. They are worthy of one. I mean, you would give them that too. I hear guitar tones all of the time. I have worked with people that are incredible at guitar tones. I know what great guitar tones are, and these guys are top tier with their tones. Back to this, let you hear it again. We've got 4 guitars. These are quadded, 2 left, 2 right. And I got a note from Fredrik saying that guitar 2 is supposed to be slightly under guitar 1. I'll let you hear guitar 1 because this is the main guitar. Sounds amazing raw. I'll let you hear some power chords too, just so you can hear this, not just that type of riff. Sounds like a Les Paul. I could be wrong. Sounds like riffing around the 12th fret a lot rather than playing across the neck, and changing strings. Sounds like a lot of single string riffing or a few string changes, but mainly single string riffing, which gets a very particular kind of sound. Now, I could be completely wrong. I've never watched these guys actually play this stuff, but that's what it sounds like to me. And I've been playing guitar for like 25 years. It sounds like playing a lot around the 12th fret. And this is something that you hear bands like Mastodon do very well. And bands like Queens of the Stone Age, it just gets a thick sound. And there's always a bit of a tonal change when you switch strings during a riff. One of the best ways that you can tell what I'm talking about is if you're recording a guitar harmony and you try to record the harmony part on an adjacent string, pay attention to the tonal difference. Then learn the harmony on the same string and record that and do an A-B, and you'll see what I mean. It gets a very consistent tone to try to have as much as possible on the same string. I call it vertical playing. And there are challenges, especially when playing live, because you can't stay in a safe zone on the fretboard, and There's a lot of room for hitting the wrong note in the dark. But hey, those are the risks we take to sound awesome. And I forgot to do this. I'm going to do this now. I got so excited by the guitar tone, I forgot to let you hear what the mix sounds raw. But check it out. That is just dripping with excitement. Hearing that kind of energy on raw tracks, that's crazy. Doesn't happen very often. There's nothing on this, and it already sounds this good, which means that for those of you that are mixing it, it is yours to screw up. This has everything you need to sound great. Let's take a look at the drums next. It's a very stripped down, simple recording. Nothing crazy going on. But just pay attention to the feel. It just feels good. You just want to bob your head, even if those are raw drums. And I am sure that those of you who have recorded raw drums in a less than world class situation know that sometimes you hear them and maybe there's not so much feel, but just give this the head bob test. It's there. Just with nothing even on these drums, it's there. And that's without even any bass, and it's already rocking. I'll get to the individual drums in a second, but I'm so excited by how energetic this is that I just want to show you. All right, so we've got a bass amp and a bass DI. There's just so much meat to that bass amp. All right. But as I promised, going to get to the drums now. So we just got 2 kick mics and a trigger. Now, not a sample, but an actual trigger. And this is what it sounds like. The actual kind of trigger that you physically put on a drum. And they were kind enough to include those for kick drum, snare, and the 3 toms. So if you want to use samples, just sample trigger off the trigger. So you got 2 kick mics, snare top, snare bottom, high tom, medium tom, low tom, stereo overheads. Looks like a couple overhead overdubs. This is some sort of effect. I guarantee it. Yep. And that's it. Not even any rooms. No under tom mics. No. This is very, very stripped down. And from what I understand, they recorded this in a concrete bank safe, which is kind of crazy. I've never heard of that. I've heard of Tui Madsen's swimming pool, but I haven't heard of a bank safe as a drum room. Maybe that's why there are no rooms. But if you know what you're doing or you're interested in learning, there are many, many ways to turn overheads into drum rooms with the right kind of processing, or you can create a fake snare room. There's so many ways to get around it. But for whatever reason, there is no drum room on this. Let's hear the 91. That's solid. You should be able to have some natural kick on this. Hell yeah. I love it when drummers can actually play this stuff. All right. Feels really good. Let's hear what the toms are sounding like. Nice. There's a tom part towards the end, so let me go there. No, it's in the middle, actually. Yep. Those toms sound great. Those toms sound great. And this is a perfect example of making the best out of whatever situation you're in. You don't need to be in a $3 million drum room with 47 mics and every single, thing you can imagine done. Really, what you need to do is have perfectly tuned drums that are incredibly well performed and capture great tones, and then you can create a great mix, as is evidenced by the final mix on this. So more proof of the idea that you don't need a ridiculous setup to get a great drum sound. That is all you need. Awesome. All right. Let us check out what these melody guitars are. So we've got melody guitar 1, 2, and 3. Sounds like my favorite of all guitar effects, the EBow, which if you record guitars and you don't have one of these, go out and buy one. EBows are so great. And that coincides with this overhead dupe one. Let's see what that's all about. Maybe this is supposed to be affected a certain way. I don't know. Whoa. Ignore. I'm making a video here, buddy. All right. And what's this? Cool. All right. And then we have the programming. Now, what's cool about this is that you can hear the early stages of what became a very big part of Bring Me the Horizon sound. I mean, if you heard what they're doing now, I mean, they still rock the fuck out, but they have a lot of programming. And actually, on the last song that we had by them on Nail the Mix, which was March 2018 with Dan Lancaster, is a song called Doomed, which, if you want to check it out, just that's again March 2018. It's a very different kind of song and has a ton of programming. But let's hear what this is. Strings, explosions, gotta have explosions. Element, which is a synth, some sweeps, and some sub basses. Alrighty. So there's no drums going on here, which means that These rhythm elements right here are going to have to take the place of the drums. I would put some good time into that, and definitely don't have these guitars as loud as they are right here. But yeah, the trick here, and a lot of people screw this up, is going to be to have it flow from this ripping metal track into something like this, and not have it lose energy. That's actually harder than it sounds. But then go back into the heaviness and make sure that the heavy part sounds bigger than the program part. And if you really take the time to make the programming and the rhythm elements in the programming sound big and, big and good and powerful, you will run the risk of making it sound bigger than the metal band. This happens all the time. I'm sure that you've been to a live show where they play something that's pre-recorded, like an orchestral intro or something electronic, and it's epic and it sounds amazing and exciting and it's building, building, building. And then the band comes on and they just sound smaller than the intro, and it's just like wah wah wah. May as well just play the sad trombone sound instead. This happens also on lots of amateur mixes, that you get something with synth elements or orchestral elements, something with an intro and programmed sounds and soundscape type stuff, and it ends up sounding bigger than the band. So just watch out for that. Don't let it happen. Yeah, I mean, that's got to come in swinging, which it does already. The great thing about this recording is that the energy is already there. So it's not like you're going to have to create the energy. You're just going to have to make sure that automation wise and as far as respective levels and balances, that you do this right. The band do their part by slamming. All right, let's check out these vocals.
I got a secret, which I'll tune my tongues on the back of my lungs, and I gotta keep it. I know something you don't know.
I love the way those sound. It just sounds like he's going for it. I love that. I love hearing metal vocals that sound like the vocalist means it. Every once in a while, you get that, but you also get a lot of metal vocals where they're screaming, and yeah, it's screaming, so there's that intensity to it, but it almost feels like talking, screaming. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just don't feel the emotion behind it. And with this, I do. It just sounds great. You can hear the strain, but it sounds nasty in a really good way.
It feels like cancer. This guild could fella fucking say.
I love that that Hardy sounds like his voice is overdriven. You know what's interesting here is that there aren't that many doubles. I mean, there are here. Obviously, because it's like a gang part, but a lot of these vocals are just single tracked. That's a tall order for a lot of vocalists. I mean, typically you need doubles and sometimes a lot more, just to have things sound thick enough to hold their own against a band that sounds this big. But his vocals just don't need it. They just sound great like this. And that's a mark of a really good metal vocalist. And I'm not saying that guys that get lots of doubles are not by any means good. I've worked with some that do tracks and tracks and tracks and tracks, and they're amazing. But it's also amazing when you work with somebody who just sounds great like this, just raw. I mean, not raw, but not incredibly doubled. It has a more intimate sound. And by contrast, when it gets to these, the gang vocals, these sound way big. Let's hear them. And let me point something out. You notice how these are not rhythmically locked, like they're not that tight with each other? That is the secret to making these gang vocals actually sound like a lot of people. So if you're recording gangs, don't correct them. Let's see, vocal effects. All right, this part right here is like a transition where on the mix, like if you check out the release song, I think they use the verify effect on it. Like you can really tell it, and it sounds very, very small. And then when it comes in with the band, it just sounds huge. And typically, when you encounter things like that, it's something that the mixer has to create, when it wasn't there before, or like you'll get a note from the band saying, make this part smaller and then this other one bigger, etc. But in the raw tracks, that's already there. That arrangement is already there. And so say that this was not mixed by the people who produced it. Say Fredrik and Henrik just gave it to somebody else to mix. There would be no confusion about what this part is supposed to be like, because the arrangement already sets it up perfectly. So then it's just on the mixer to make it sound awesome. Awesomer than it already does. And just check out how big it comes in. You know exactly what that's supposed to be like in the final mix. All right, I'm going to do one more thing here. Just because I want to drive the point home. Listen to how sick these guitars sound raw. So, if you want to get better guitar tones and you think you're going to fix it in the mix, think again. Your guitars should sound awesome coming through the microphone raw. They should sound great like that. And if they don't, then you've got something, upstream to deal with. Maybe it's the wrong guitar. Maybe it's the wrong guitarist. Maybe it's the wrong pickups. Maybe it's the wrong strings. Maybe it's the wrong microphone, wrong cab, wrong amp. Maybe wrong picks. Maybe it's a combination of those. But if it doesn't sound awesome, just raw coming through, without anything on it, work on it more. Don't think that you're going to make it awesome in the mix. Again, here's some raw guitars. Between these guitars and Henrik's Architect's guitars, the bar is set. And with that, I'm going to finish this unboxing of Chelsea's Smile by Bring Me the Horizon, which was originally mixed and produced by the legend Fredrik Nordstrom and Henrik Udd. It's on this month, July 2019, on Nail the Mix. If you like what you've seen here, go to the link below and sign up.